Alright, this is part 3 of section 2.6. So what I was saying in the last video is this 5 is connected to the square root of 3x minus 1 by multiplication. So in order to get rid of it, what we would do is divide it. So then we would have 3x minus 1 is equal to negative 2 over 5, and we would go from there. I didn't have an example of this, so I wanted to show you that real quick. But let's go back to the question we have here. So square root of 3x minus 1 minus 2 equals 0. I'm going to isolate our square root by moving that 2 over. So the square root of 3x minus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides. Okay, these will cancel out, and I have 3x minus 1 is equal to 4. Add the 1. So 3x is equal to 5. And then divide both sides by 3. So we have x is equal to 5 over 3. Now what we need to do is we need to check that. Make sure that that's an actual answer. Let me write that a little better. Okay, a little better. So we got 3 times 5 over 3 minus 1, the square root of that, minus 2 equals 0. The 3's cancel. I'm left with 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4, or 5 minus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Okay, so x equals 5 over 3 is our answer. Now what do we do when we have 2? And let me do this one first. When we got 2 radicals, well, we're going to move just one of them over. And because this one has a negative, I'm going to move that one over to the other side so it becomes a positive. So we're going to have 2x plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and move it over. X plus 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to square both sides. So both sides, these are going to cancel, and I'm left with what's inside. 2x plus 3 is equal to x plus 2, and I'm going to subtract 3. So 2x is equal to x minus, looks like, with a 1. Subtract x from both sides. So I have x is equal to negative 1. Now I need to check that. Okay, so 2 times 1 plus 3 minus 1 plus 2 equals 0. So this is 2 plus 3 minus, oops, that should be a negative 1 right here. So that will be a negative 2. Minus, this will be negative 1 plus 2 equals 0. So this will be the square root of 1 minus, this will also be the square root of 1. 1 minus 1 equals 0. 0 equals 0. Okay, so x equals negative 1 will be our answer for this one. Now let's go back to this one. Now I need to, again, move a radical over because I have 2 of them on one side. So I'm just going to choose this one. Move that one over. So 3x plus 7 is equal to 1 minus the square root of x plus 2. Now I'm going to square both sides. Now be careful to square the entire thing over here. Now over here, this is going to cancel. I'm left with what's inside. Over here I have 1 minus the square root of x plus 2 times itself. 1 minus the square root of x plus 2. So 3x plus 7 is equal to. Now I'm going to take 1 and multiply it times 1 and times this negative square root of x plus 2. And I get 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times the negative square root of x plus 2 is itself. Then take this negative square root of x plus 2, multiply it times a 1, and multiply it times the negative square root of x plus 2. Okay, so that's going to be negative square root of x plus 2. Negative times a negative is a positive. Now, a square root and a square root, that will cancel each other out. So I'm left with what's inside, just the x plus 2. Okay, let's clean this up just a little bit. Okay, I've got a 1 and a 2. That will give me a 3. I have this these two right here. So basically I have a negative 1 in front of it, so that will give me a negative 2 square root of x plus 2, and then plus this remaining x over here. Now I'm going to move this 7 over. So 3x is equal to, actually, I'm sorry. What we're trying to do now is we still have this radical, and we need to get that isolated. So what I'm going to do is move everything else to the other side. So we will move, now don't combine these two, the 3 and the negative 2, because that negative 2 is attached to that square root by multiplication. The only way to get rid of it is to divide. So you can't do 3 minus 2 and say, oh, okay, that's just 1, because that won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that 3 over to the other side. So we'll have 3x plus 4 equal to negative 2 square root of x plus 2 plus x. I'm going to get rid of that x. Okay, so come over here. We will get 2x plus 4 is equal to negative 2 times the square root of x plus 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this part here, it's in my way. I'm going to divide negative 2 by each of these terms here. So that will give me a negative x and a negative 2 square root of x plus 2. Okay, now we need to square both sides. Okay, so we'll have negative x minus 2 times itself is equal to, these cancel each other out, so I just have x plus 2 there. Negative x times negative x will be x squared. X times negative 2 will be positive 2x, positive 2x plus 4, x plus 2. Okay. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to x plus 2. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So that's 2. Subtract x from both sides. That'll be, oops. That will be 3x plus 2. And then what I need to do is factor. So x, break down the 2. Looks like just a 2 and a 1. Positive for both of them. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is positive 3. Okay. So x plus 2 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. So x equals negative 2, and x equals negative 1. Now we need to go back and check those. We'll check negative 2 first. So 3 times negative 2 plus 7 plus negative 2 plus 2 equals 1. This will be 6 plus 7 plus the square root of 0 is equal to 1. Oh, that should be negative 6 right there. Square root of 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1 plus 0 equals 1, so 1 equals 1. Okay, this one checks out. Let's go back and check negative 1. And plug in negative 1 here. Okay, so this will be negative 3 plus 7 plus, that's just going to be 1. Okay, this will be 4 plus 1 equals 1. This will be 2 plus 1 equals 1. 3 equals 1, which it does not. So what we have is an extraneous solution. So the only solution to this is x equals -2. Okay, now let's go about looking at solving absolute value equations. So the absolute value of x is written as you got 2 bars on each side of x. And here's the following properties. If x is greater than or equal to, okay, so I've got the greater than or equal to, that line underneath, 0, then, so basically if it's 0 or if it's positive, the absolute value would just be x. Or the term within the absolute value is just x. If x is basically a negative number less than 0, then the value inside the absolute value is going to be negative x. Now for real numbers, a and b, an equation of the form the absolute value of a is equal to b, with b being 0 or a positive number greater than or equal to 0, that will have a solution of a equals b or a equals negative b. But if b is a negative number or less than 0, then the equation, the absolute value of a equal to b, does not have a solution. Now the reason for that is the absolute value of a, absolute value of anything is positive, right? The absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of anything will be a positive number. Okay, so what we have, and I'm just going to write a positive number. Now if we have b as a negative number, and we're setting them equal to each other like we do here, then, so say b is a negative number in this case. When does a positive number equal a negative number? Never. That's why you have no solution there. Okay, now if an absolute value equation is in the form ax plus b equals c, then if c is a negative number, then that equation will have no solution, same as what we went through over here. Positive can't ever equal to negative. If c is equal to 0, you will have one solution. If c is a positive number, you will have two solutions. So what you're going to do is you're going to isolate the absolute value expression, kind of like you did with the radicals, on one side of the equation, everything else on the other. If c is greater than 0, write and solve two equations. Ax plus b is equal to c, and ax plus b is equal to a negative c. Okay, so let's look at this right here. Number 1, we're going to isolate the absolute value. So 1 minus 4x plus 8 equals 13. We'll get rid of that 8. So the absolute value of 1 minus 4x is equal to 5. And then what we're going to do is we're going to break this up, now that this is isolated, into 1 minus 4x equals to 5, or 1 minus 4x is equal to -5, and solve both equations. So subtract 1, and I usually just go across because you do the same thing. So -4x is equal to, well, 5 minus 1 is 4. -4x is equal to -5 plus a -1, that's -6. Divide everybody by a -4. So over here we've got x is equal to -1. Over here we've got x is equal to, looks like a 6/4. But I can take a 2 out of those, so I get 3/2. So if we go back and check them, so we'll check -1, absolute value of 1 minus 4 times -1 plus 8 is equal to 13. Well, that's going to be 1 plus 4. So this will be the absolute value of 5. So absolute value 5 is